You are listening to the Prosperous Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosperous Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. Hi, Greg McCollum here with another edition of the Prosperous Law Podcast. As you know, Prosperous Law focuses on criminal defense. The reason for that is because there's a lot of great coaching out there. There's a lot of great seminars, a lot of great masterminds, something I'm a big fan of. And I've participated in a lot of these things with a lot of different companies and great coaches and great marketing leaders. However, there's a section of that, particularly with criminal defense, where that's not really addressed or provided. So there are differences in the practices. Maybe 60-70% of the stuff that I've learned from the personal injury lawyers basically also applies to running a criminal defense law firm. But there's another part, and I'm just making up the numbers, another quarter, another 25% or 30% or something like that just doesn't deal with the issues of running a criminal defense law firm. I'm focusing on criminal defense law because that's what I am. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. It's what I've always been. I have a criminal defense only law firm, complete legal defense team, and so that's the focus. Now today's topic is your law firm a business or a headache? Is your law firm a business or a headache? And I've got some information here which I'll share with you, some surveys and things like that from the American Bar Association, the Small Business Administration, and things like that. And what I'm telling you here, if you're a criminal defense lawyer or you're any kind of solo practitioner or somebody in a small law firm earning under $1 million or under $500,000 in annual revenues, depending on how many lawyers you have generating fees and bringing in cases, this applies to you. This podcast doesn't really apply to 8-figure law firms. They're out there. It doesn't apply necessarily to multi 7-figure law firms. This podcast is designed to help people under $1 million and even much lower than under $1 million, under $200,000 or $300,000. It applies to people that have been struggling for 10 years or even longer like I did, but it could also help you if you're just starting out because it'll give you a shortcut to avoiding some of the issues that I'll talk about. Now, if you practice law and you're running a law firm, you already know this because this is your life. One of the headlines was being a lawyer is one of the most stressful occupations in America. It's one of the most stressful things you can choose to do. When people think about lawyers, and when I thought about becoming a lawyer when I was a kid, I had no idea that it was stressful, which seems so stupid now to even say that, but I thought lawyers had it made, right? In this article, Most Stressful Occupation in America, it's interesting because one of the people they interviewed was an assistant public defender from Mecklenburg County, which is Charlotte, North Carolina. And he talks about, and I'm quoting this, "In my job, my performance could be the difference between someone going to prison for years or remaining free, or if I'm a family court lawyer, someone could literally lose their child, or lose their house, or even a civil lawyer, a huge amount of money could be on the line." And this article is talking about basically mental health for lawyers. And some of the people in the comment just kind of call that out and saying the problem with practicing law for solos and small law firms is systemic. And there's no amount of therapy or relaxation time or hobbies that will cure that. Now, one of the comments, and it's interesting because this guy put this comment on at 2:03 a.m., and I'll read this quickly. Stressful, question mark. What could possibly be stressful about an occupation where 100-hour work weeks are normal, deadlines are impossible to make, clients expect total success, managers offer scant encouragement, you have little social life, the economic remuneration rivals Starbucks, your student loans have 19 more years to go, your colleagues are borderline alcoholics, and 43 more situations just as discouraging existing weekly. Then in bold, test pilots have less stress, and members of bomb disposal units can identify with members of the legal profession. That's pretty bad, but I've been there, and I get that. The other person calls it out and says, stop this therapy, and this is systemic in the practice of law. The other comment, I hate practicing law. It goes through its nonstop deadlines. And then the final one says criminal law public defender and the criminal law paralegal in the public sector, underpaid, overworked, constant deadlines. I feel you. Now, what jumped out to me is that the guy, the first person, he's an assistant public defender. He's stressed. He has an endless stream of clients. He has a guaranteed paycheck. He has a retirement plan. He has set work hours and doesn't have to run a business. And he's stressed. So then I was looking at business surveys, and then Inc. magazine has a survey which says 75% of entrepreneurs are concerned about their mental health. Now, this is small business owners. 75% are concerned about their mental health. 56% have actually been diagnosed as having an issue. And then it says that 70% of the people that were concerned were not concerned about the long hours. The small business owners, they're like, I'll work the hours. I'm fine with the hours. That's not the problem. But they hadn't sought help because they don't have time or money. And this is also true of the lawyers. What do you need? You need time and money. And you need help. Okay? Your stress comes from the way it's set up. It's set up where you have to be perfect. There's no room for error. You're held to this impossibly high standard, which is unrealistic. And if you mess up and fail or something happens, you make that one or two mistakes, next thing you know, your law license is in jeopardy and your whole world's coming apart. So where does the stress come from? Not getting enough money in the door, not having enough time to take care of the clients, not being able to, because of time or support, communicate with clients, fear of missing deadlines or court dates, and not being able to take a break or a vacation. This just happened in my law firm Complete Legal Defense Team. We do a huddle every morning at 8:45 where the people are in the office, we sit there together, we go through the calendar for the next 2 weeks, we detail everything that's going on, and everything is set on our calendar. So every court date, every meeting, every jail visit, every meeting or conference I'm having, every Zoom meeting is on that calendar and it's color-coded, and so everybody in our firm has their color, and that's what we do. Now, that particular morning, we had this phantom court appearance, and there was some miscommunication, there was some confusion, and that came partly because of the system of how we were being communicated with, which I think we fixed that. That was an easy solution. because the emails were only going to one of my senior trial lawyers. And so, like a lot of lawyers, he's probably a control freak, and so he wants the emails coming to him. What I changed is what I changed with my email years ago. I put it so another person gets a copy of it, gets forwarded to them, because he's out there in the field. He's going from court to court, town to town, doing his thing, defending people. So clearly, he's in a position to miss a court date. Now, we didn't miss a court date. We had two people going to court when they didn't need to go. And so in that situation, he or somebody was able to contact one of them and say, false alarm, don't go. Another guy went and was called off, and we had confirmed that it was never really even a court date. I think it was a situation where a judge had said, be back here on this date, and that just wasn't true. Now, the client that went, and I heard the phone conversation with some of my staff and paralegals, he wasn't so mad about going there for nothing. All of his worry was that he was supposed to be there at some point, and that he was going to be marked as failure to appear, and then a warrant would issue. And as you know, if a warrant issues, then what happens is you're taken to jail on a no bond situation. And so you have to literally get a court order to even have a bond hearing and have somebody released, so somebody could be held in jail days or weeks, or in extreme situations for months in a failure to appear. So that was his concern. So that's stressful. Now, it didn't create a lot of stress for me, and my staff and people, I could tell, were worried that I was going to be mad. I was actually very happy. One, this never happens because our systems operate. So this is a one-off. This used to happen to me all the time. It doesn't happen now. And the other thing that made me really happy or pleased about this problem was a couple of things, but the main thing was that I've got these A players now. They're talking through it. They are as concerned about it as I am. They are as concerned about it as the client, and they're working to reassure the client. They're contacting the court to confirm it was a non-appearance, and they're doing all the things that I used to do, running all over town, with my tongue hanging out, sweating and panting and looking in disarray, trying to fix things. So they're fixing it. Things are going to happen. There are going to be problems. It's inevitable. There's too much going on for there not to become a problem. Now, when I've talked to lawyers over the years and been involved myself, and this is my equation, and this is what I built my law firm on, Complete Legal Defense Team, is that lawyers would say to me over the years, practicing law would be good if you only had one client. Or some people would say things like, I love being a lawyer, I love practicing law, the clients are the problem. And I came up with this idea, and it's probably nothing new, maybe everyone knows it, but that 80%, just to take a random percentage, which I think is pretty accurate, 80% of what I did when I owned a law firm and ran it by myself and had no help really, 80% of the problems, 80% of the stress, 80% of the tasks and things that I was doing were not what I considered practicing law. I liked practicing law, and I think most lawyers enjoy practicing law. But the practicing law they see as, client interaction, meeting with clients, reading the evidence in a criminal case, reading the evidence against the client that you receive back in the discovery motion response, going to court, making appearances, dealing with judges and defending the integrity of your case, negotiating with the other side, and this applies to civil law, criminal law, everything, family law. Most lawyers I know are good at that. They enjoy that. It's challenging. It takes creativity. All their training and skills come to bear, and many people are extremely effective negotiators in very difficult positions where the prosecutor has his or her position, which is valid, and then the defense lawyer has the position, and that it's amazing that these things can be resolved because of the powers of the parties and the lawyers involved in very difficult negotiations where a lot is at stake. What I see is lawyers excel at that. What they don't excel at, which is not surprising at all if you think about it, they do not excel, at bookkeeping. They do not excel as cleaning their office. They're not great at scheduling. They're not great at planning out their life. They're not great at controlling the environment and having a system where clients are effectively communicated with without the lawyer being involved. And in my law firm, Complete Legal Defense Team, my lawyers are lawyers. They do legal work. All the other stuff that is part of any small business, all the docket management, all the financial controls, all the insurance, all the paying the bar dues, all of the making sure that they had their CLE, continuing legal education requirements met, paying for them to go to a seminar, taking care of the hotel and airfare, all of that's covered for them. All they have to do is what they're really good at, which is lawyering, which is being a lawyer. So therefore, what happens is the stress, I think, and I haven't surveyed them, but I talk to them daily and weekly. I don't think that our lawyers exhibit this kind of stress. They get paid. They get their payroll check comes every 2 weeks. If there's a bonus out there, that comes. They don't have to worry about where the money comes from. When a potential new client contacts our law firm, many times the lawyers, they don't even know about it until they're told and given a case file. For example, they get a call or get a text or something from our A-team paralegals. Hey, Bill, I want to let you know you got an appearance tomorrow. You got a bond hearing in the morning at 8:30 in this court, and this is the skinny. This is the details. Now, sometimes when people contact us and want to talk about hiring us, in some instances, they have some legal questions, and so they're ready to hire us. They're ready to retain us, but they want to get some legal advice, or they want to meet the lawyer either in person or on the phone. They want some reassurance. They at least want to talk to the lawyer before they hand over this big pile of money. So we do that if they want, and we don't charge for that. That's a free consultation. But what we don't do is the lawyers are trained not to delve into the case. They're trained to talk about different things, about what to expect. In other words, you've been arrested, you've got 2 court dates. This is what to expect. This is the timeline. If you work with us, this is what it would look like. This is how long the case would take. We're not going to sit there in most instances and talk about the strength of the evidence or anything like that. And if somebody wants to tell their story, certainly we'll listen to it, but we're not going to engage. The lawyers are not going to engage in that story and start talking about legal issues or anything like that, because that's completely premature. And so I don't know that my lawyers have the perfect life, but I know that they have a much better life than I ever had when I did that. Most of the stress is lifted off of them. Now, it's also beneficial to me because I was tied to my mobile phone. I never turned it off. I had it with me everywhere. If I were having dinner, I don't care who I was having dinner with. I don't care what I was doing. I don't care if I was at a family gathering, if I was at one of my daughter's or son's sporting events, and the phone went off, I was on it because I didn't make enough money. I didn't have enough clients. I didn't have my calendar under control. I was many times, honestly, desperate for the next client. I was desperate to have the money paid over. And so I couldn't put that phone down. And it didn't ring all the time, but when it rang, I got it. I answered it. And that may be a 5-minute conversation, or I might be walking around the soccer field on the phone for 45 minutes, where I'm on a call, I'm talking to somebody. In fact, I remember a case that I did. It was a post-conviction relief case. I think it was on it wasn't a murder, I think it was a burglary. And I still remember, I can still picture myself out at that soccer field on the phone with that client's, because he wasn't talking to me because he was in prison because he got 25 or 35 years or something. And we didn't represent him, but now they wanted to come back and do post-conviction relief. So I remember on the phone talking through that. I can picture myself in different parts of town being on the phone. I was on that phone all the time. I never turned that phone off. When the phone rang, I answered it. Now, later, I put in an answering service so that the phones got transferred to the answering service, and the answering service served as a filter because they would then, as technology progressed, the answering service would answer it, and this still happens, and then I get a text message saying, this person called, this is their situation. So you can tell, one, is it urgent? Did they need a call back now? Is it a criminal law matter? Is it something that we would handle? Like, so for example, now, I stopped doing the post-conviction relief. And one of the reasons I stopped doing it is because it seemed like at the time I was the only lawyer in the firm that could actually do it. And so it wasn't getting done unless I did it. It was too time consuming. I remember going to a friend's office, and I must have worked 60 hours over the course of a couple of weeks by myself in there, putting that thing together and typing it out and doing all the prep work that I do for those cases. So that's not a good use of my time, so I just stopped doing it. So now, if you call my law firm any time of day, any day of the week, the answering service take a message, and then the text message goes to everybody in my firm. Everybody in my firm sees it. Actually, I'll take that back. We have a group text message which works very well. Certain people, the people that deal with intake, see it, and then the lawyers don't see it. So they don't know if 5 people called us, no people called us, or they don't know if we're being hired or not usually. They find out when they've got a case assigned to them most of the time. That's how that works. And so what's happened is, for the first time in my life, now I've had my own law practice. I don't want to call it a law firm. I had my law practice open at the very end of 1993. So I'd call it 94. So from 94 to probably 2020 or 2021, I was tied to that phone. I couldn't go anywhere without the phone because I was terrified that I wasn't going to get something. I needed money in the door. And so, but that's changed now. Now what I do is I don't have cases myself. There's no case, there's no criminal case assigned to Greg. I'm not on any court docket. And what I do, 90% of my time is working on the business. So I'm trying to figure out, where we going next, where we're going to open an office next, who's the lawyer that I want to recruit and find that fits our culture, who has the skills to defend people, has the passion to defend people. Where's my next paralegal? Where's my next support person? How can I do everything to make sure that our marketing is working? What can I do to make sure that we're staying on top of technology? What can I do to make sure everybody has what they need to succeed? So for me and for the lawyers, I can take a vacation. In 2023, and this is a bit much for me, I was on vacation 7 weeks of the year. I took a cruise across the ocean and was gone for 21 days. And for 15 or 16 of those days, I was incommunicado. The Wi-Fi didn't work half the time on the boat. We weren't in communication, but everybody knew what to do. And for the first time in my life, that's the most relaxed I've been in my life, because that's the first time in my life that I was away from the law firm. In other words, that weight was if you look at something like a structure being held up, I wasn't the only one holding it up. I'm not the only one holding it up. I have all these other support pillars that push it back up, and not only get it off of me, but we also get it off the lawyers. It takes stress off the paralegals. It takes stress off of everybody, because we have systems, we have processes, we have enough people, we have enough money to fund it. Everything is handled because my law firm is now a business. And it took a long time to make it a business, and I know all the mistakes that I made. I know all the things that I did wrong, and I know through trial and error. I try to make a list sometimes of all the dumb things I've done, or all the things that I've done that didn't work. And what I found is that there were things that would come to mind. It's like, oh yeah, I remember I tried that. I remember I dumped money in that. I remember I did that. That didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. But some things did work. And when something does work, it takes you to really another level of comfort and peace of mind. So even though practicing law is the most stressful job in America, possibly, and it's terrible and sucks, and people have no life and have no time off, take some comfort in that while it's not easy, you can convert your stressful, suicide-inducing law practice into a business that serves you, so that you can take better care of the clients, you can communicate with clients, you can have good people doing work overall for people, and you can check out and take a vacation. And that really is what Prosperate Law is designed to help you do. It's what we're about. That's our mission and our purpose. So you have more free time, make more money, have less stress. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. If you want to know more, go to prosperatelaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.